Daily movement reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes 50%. Just daily movement. Just think about a car. You have a car, it's been sitting, you don't drive it, you don't wash it, just sits in the garage. The batteries will die, the tires will flatten, the fluids start to settle, and your parts in the car start to seize. It's meant to be driven. Humans are meant to move. Hey guys, welcome back to another Rest Eat Move podcast. It's Matt solo in the studio. We'll get Chris back in the studio. He's been enjoying his time up north with my mom, and they've had a great summer. So think about the fall, and he'll be back in the studio recording our combo podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about the third pillar of Rest Eat Move, which is movement. And we really want everyone to create a movement mindset. I think exercise is about structure. It's about kind of more of a plan, a practice, but movement is a lifestyle. Are you moving daily? But I'm going to title this episode, What is Exercise? Because we can talk about a movement mindset. We want you to have a movement mindset. We don't have a movement mindset in our society, but most likely you're going to have some type of exercise regimen if you want to feel and perform your best. Because once upon a time, we didn't have to think about movement. We're required to move. You have to survive. You have to hunt. You have to gather. You have to survive and run and gather water and be out in nature and dig holes and build things. And that's just how life was. So for 99% of our human existence, we were required to move. It wasn't something we had to think about. And you've heard us talk about behavior change and habits, and these things require effort. And the more effort something has, is the harder it is to become a habit, especially if we don't prioritize it or enjoy it. And so 99% of our human existence, how we evolved is to move our body. Well, not too long ago, and not for that long, we've lived in a society that is becoming easier and easier to not have to move. You're watching AI evolve really quickly in front of us to do simple tasks that, even our brain doesn't have to work as hard. You got the technology of self-driving vehicles and airplanes and escalators and people movers and Ubers and even e-bikes. We don't even have to pedal our bikes. And so it's becoming so easy to not move our body. But here's, unfortunately, the bad news. We're designed to move. And what you'll find is not only physically. So we know physically muscles, bones, fluid, hormones, but mentally, we're designed to move. It washes the brain. It actually helps build these neurotransmitters. Depression and anxiety have never been worse, yet we've never moved our body less. And so what is exercise for? Well, once life, stopped requiring movement, now we humans have to start thinking about exercise and movement. And that's the challenge. Now we have another thing on our plate. And that becomes challenging because the hardest part of movement or exercise for anybody is the part where you have to get going. The first step, getting out of bed, joining a gym, finding something you love, repeating it, becoming a ritual. And so when you think about it, okay, well, what's the 30,000 foot view? Well, once upon a time, like I said, for 99% of our existence, we had to move. If you think about hunters and gatherers many, many years ago, they burned on average 3,000 calories just from physical activity. And many times that was them trying to conserve energy. So they're even conserving energy and they're still burning 3,000 calories. That's equivalent of running or walking a marathon or 65,000 steps. That was just part of life. They didn't have to think about it. Then in the 1800s, moving and burning about 2,000 calories. So we didn't have to move as much to survive. There was amenities and different elements that made it a little easier. 1950, about 1,500 to 1,700 calories. And currently today, between 1,000 and 1,500 calories, which I think is on the high end of physical activity. Currently today, the world average is 5,000 steps a day. Unfortunately, the US average is 3,800. Here's the crazy thing. 40% of our country is obese. But here's what we're going to talk about because most of our listeners are in this category. I'm not saying most of our listeners are in the 46% obesity category, but most of our listeners are between the age of 40 and 60. Obesity is 46% in this category. This is when you're busy, you got a job, you got a family, you got responsibilities, not a ton of extra time. But 99% of our existence, we moved our body. Currently today, that's drastically changed. Only about 25%, 1 in 4 people move their body daily, and now obesity is 46%. between the ages of 40 and 60. But, why do we move our body? What is movement designed to do? Well, a couple things. Physical health. So think about strength, bones, your heart, your lungs. We understand that. I think those things take a long time to shift and maybe notice because we're used to our body and it doesn't happen overnight. And so if I'm not active, the next thing I know, my muscles shrink and my bones get weaker. It takes time, but it's happening slowly and we get used to it. We adapt to it. That's what makes humans amazing is we're adaptable. Longevity, it reduces chronic disease. Some of the stats are unbelievable. Daily movement reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes 50%. Just daily movement. I didn't talk about nutrition. I didn't talk about sleep. Just daily movement reduces type 2 diabetes 50%. There's close to 40 million type 2 diabetics, and we now know that we can reduce that by 50% by daily movement. So reduces chronic disease. Cancer's at its all-time high. Some of the numbers on cancer are staggering. As much as 30 to 38% can be reduced in some categories of cancer by moving your body. We can live longer, happier, healthier just by moving our body. And then there's mental health, mood, stress, improved sleep. We'll talk about hormones, function. Can you do the things that matter? Can you pick up your grandkids? Can you bend down? If you do fall for whatever reason, do not break your bones. Can you get up easily? The function in life gets easier when we start to move our body on a regular basis. If you move it, you don't lose it. Metabolic, so weight, blood sugar, energy levels. Performance improves, speed, flexibility, strength. These are why we need to think about daily movement. This is why there's exercise. It keeps the machine running smoothly. All right, so when we talk about the mind and exercise, I don't think this gets enough connection. Now, I think the Gen Z generation really, for the most part, a lot more interest in movement. I think social media has made this a much more trendy, habitual thing. But across the globe, it doesn't matter. There might be a little more interest. There might be a little bit more activity. But we're still not moving on a regular basis. And from the standpoint of your mind, your mood, your happiness, physical activity boosts serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. These are your neurotransmitters. If you don't move your body, the chances of you increasing depression are 25 to 50% because it's movement that actually helps us wash the brain. It also helps stress and anxiety. So movement reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. So when you move your body, you reduce cortisol. And so you're going to have less irritability, tension, anxiety. What about this? You got this thing called your lymphatic system that you need to pump, so you're moving your arms, moving your body. But when you move your body, you also help regulate your circadian rhythm. You go to bed kind of more closely the same time, and you wake up at the same time. You're able to stay asleep, and then your glymphatic system can do its job. Flush toxins, reduce some of this buildup that we all have. Brain fog, you hear about this a lot. Even with younger people, they really want to protect their brain, be sharp with their brain. Well, when you move your body, you get more blood flow. When you get more blood flow, you get more oxygen. When you don't move your body, your brain actually starts to shrink. This is phenomenal. There was a 400,000 person study. One of their conclusions is 15 minutes, only 15 minutes of daily movement, not structured exercise, just daily movement. Could be a walk, could be riding your bike, could be working in the yard. 15 minutes of daily movement adds 3 years to your life. 1 in 4 people are moving their body daily. Another way to say that is 75% of our country is not moving their body on a regular basis. Cancer's at its all-time high, type 2 diabetes, obesity, inflammation, and we're not moving our body. So movement can help with hormones. It can reduce inflammation. It boosts your immune system. When you move your body, it improves gut health, digestion. It replicates some of the movement that happens in the digestive tract. Muscles shrink, metabolism slows, joints stiffen. It's kind of like being the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz. You don't move your body, you rust up. Blood sugar goes up, blood pressure goes up. Inflammation rises. Your brain chemistry actually shifts. I talk about as a kid being ADHD. Well, one of the things that really helped with it is moving my body. It helped to regulate my nervous system. It helped me strengthen the skill. Your brain chemistry shifts. You stop moving your body. Anxiety starts to show up. Depression. Isn't it interesting? You stop moving your body and you start to feel more fatigued, even though you haven't done any activity. I just got back from a seminar working with a school. I said, how many of you feel tired at the end of the day, fatigue, yet how many of you are doing physical labor? And so the point is our brain is physically fatigued. It stops working as much. It's not getting as much oxygen. We're really, truly not built for sitting. We're actually designed to survive. And when you actually practice doing things that help you move and survive, and you end up starting to thrive. Here's an example. Cars. Think about a car. You have a car, it's been sitting, you don't drive it, you don't wash it, just sits in the garage. The batteries will die, the tires will flatten, the fluids start to settle, and your parts in the car start to seize. It's meant to be driven. Humans are meant to move. Here's my takeaway. There's so many different ways to move, but can become the easiest thing to neglect. You can go your whole life, live a fairly long life with really not much effort or intensity or thinking about movement. You move from here to there, you do a couple house improvement projects, you get the groceries, you fold the laundry, you take the stairs occasionally, and you can survive. I think it's actually unbelievable that our body works as good as it does without the effort. But to truly thrive, we're designed to move. I watch people. They know they're not as happy as they can be. They got too much stress. It bogs them down mentally. Physically, we start to say, well, I can't do that, or I used to be able to do that, or I'm getting old, or I hurt, or I have pain or aches. And it's not easy. To get going, to get started, requires effort. Requires energy. Some of us don't have the energy. It works both ways. We stop moving, we have less energy to keep moving. But I always like to come back to this because some days I don't feel like exercising. Some days I don't feel like moving. Some days it's easier to just say, well, I have work or family or things I have to do, or I just don't have the energy. But we only get one mind and we only get one body. And the truth is, to be at our best, it requires us to think about movement. I want you to have movement mindset. I want you to think about, how do you move daily? Can you move your body 10 minutes a day? Could be walking, could be household chores, could be a garden, whatever you got to do. But I do think you have to exercise. So what is exercise for? It allows us to practice movement, allows us to create a habit around movement. And if you're lucky, you start to find things that you enjoy. Strength training, machines, kettlebells, classes, aerobics, running, biking. Maybe you do a 5K. Or a couch to 5K where you walk. Maybe you like to swim. Maybe you should do something that you love that you don't do anymore and you get back to it. Maybe you golf. Maybe you hike. Maybe you canoe. Maybe you just are out in nature. We got to create a movement mindset. But I think exercise is the practice that allows us to keep the machine running. We'll see you again next time.